Game Pass, how much does it cannibalize sales? We have a new quote here from previous GamesIndustry.biz Christopher Dring, who came out and talked about Game Pass and how much he thinks it cannibalizes the sales, how much the premium sales or loss of games are dropped into the service. Looks like they're still promoting here Grand Theft Auto 6 to be released in 2025. I'm still skeptical, but I would love for it to actually happen. So we'll see if Rockstar comes out anytime soon and gives us some more information on this game. The next time they do come out with a Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer or just any sort of marketing for it, people are going to be losing their minds. We have a new look at Assassin's Creed Shadows and some parkour details that have been added. The Nintendo Switch 2 has basically been revealed all but by Nintendo themselves. And we have a forecast here of how much some analysts think it's going to sell within its first year. I think it's going to be pretty successful. Gamestop's closing down some more, and a studio could be redundant. So a Transformers game looks like it's not getting made anymore, which is unfortunate if you are a Transformers fan. So we'll jump into this. But before we do, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to hit the subscribe, share the video, like the video, help this channel grow. I would really appreciate it. And let's jump right into it. Game Pass. It's always a topic of discussion on how much games actually lose out on by putting their games into the Game Pass service. We have this article here from Pure Xbox saying Game Pass titles lose around 80% of sales on Xbox, claims reported. Now we'll get into it, but when you do think about Game Pass, especially from the deals that developers make to get into the service, for the developers, it's pretty much a win-win. If Microsoft and Xbox are going to be paying your marketing costs and help with your development costs, you make a deal, you get your game into Game Pass. And we've seen a lot of numbers that games have an uptick in users that do go out and play those games. In fact, we've seen many different claims around what Game Pass has done. We've seen some really positive ones where some developers, I think No More Robots developer has said, it actually increased their overall premium sales after putting into the games into Game Pass. And now we're having this, which is on the complete opposite end, saying that Game Pass titles lose around 80% of the sales. So there's, I think overall, when it comes to the Game Pass service, there isn't like one mathematical equation that determines how every single game does. I think it really does have to do with the style of game that does drop into, or as you could say, the case-by-case basis that Phil Spencer and Xbox love to use so much. But this comes via Christopher Dring, who is former GamesIndustry.biz. He made that announcement that he was leaving there. And he was asked about Game Pass premium sales on Xbox, what he thought about it. Here is what he says. Anecdotally, games that are in Game Pass can expect to lose around 80% of its expected premium sales on Xbox. That's the figure that gets thrown around. It's less if it's a big mainstream release, but generally look at how low Hellblade 2 charted, or where Indiana Jones came, or even Starfield. Game Pass clearly hurt the sales of those titles on Xbox. Now, head scratcher here. Hellblade 2, I think, just did not sell very well in general. I don't think that one charted very high. Indiana Jones, from everything that we did hear and did see, is that on Xbox, it actually did relatively well, not only on the Game Pass side, but actually in the sales side of things, as it was a top charting game on the Xbox side. Starfield as well sold very, very well. So I'm not 100% sure what he is referring to here when he's saying 80%. They've lost 80% of their premium sales. I would love when these quotes do come out, because you see them get passed around the internet without any context or without any evidence to actually support the claim itself, but everyone uses it as now the truth. I would love to see some data backing up this claim that Game Pass, you can expect to lose 80% of your premium sales on Xbox, because I'm sure there are some games that have lost up to that percentage, but they've made that money back via the Game Pass deal. And then I'm sure there are some games that weren't even close to losing around that amount of premium sales, or maybe even profited or did better because it got discovered via Xbox Game Pass. So I would love to just see some data when these claims are made about the Game Pass service. And then they continue on here. Dring says that in this case, it can be quite beneficial for Microsoft to bring games to multiple platforms. So he's talking about basically why they're putting games on PlayStation 5 and in other places. And the hype behind a big Xbox Game Pass release can have a strong impact on its launch elsewhere. Specifically here saying, if it's a game on multiple platforms, it can be beneficial. That surge in players on one Xbox can have a strong impact of the sales on PlayStation, for instance. And again, there's not much being said there. You can take a look at some of the stuff that has been released. I mean, Sea of Thieves is a big one that they did release on PlayStation. I don't think the sales on PlayStation had anything to do with the fact that that's the first party Xbox game that's on Game Pass now. That's just a very popular games as a service game. You've also seen games like Hi-Fi Rush, that was a Game Pass game, didn't really do anything for the PlayStation release, or Pentiment didn't really do much either. I really think it's a definitely case by case basis, these statements, and how they apply to each and every game that does drop into these servers. I think some games benefit more than others. Some games will lose more sales than others. And then they take those numbers after they've made that Game Pass deal, these publishers and developers, and then they evaluate going forward if they would want to do it again. Clearly, for a lot of publishers, specifically if you look at like the Segas and the Square Enixes who have put lots of games into Game Pass, and there are many other publishers out there as well who have done that, they have seen the benefits of it, or they wouldn't continuously be putting their games there and making those types of deals. And it's not just Game Pass. I mean, they obviously look at their numbers as well on PlayStation Plus, and a lot of games on Game Pass, third-party stuff, have also been in PlayStation Plus. So these publishers and developers definitely see positivity and good deals coming out of the fact that their games are going into those subscription services, or I just don't think they would be doing it anymore. So interesting stuff here. I just would love to see like some actual numbers and evidence around that 80% claim that is being made here, because there really isn't anything out there, or at least from this quote. Maybe there'll be in the future, maybe there's some charts that show it, but from this specific quote here, there is nothing that you can look at and say, okay, that does make sense. All right, let's jump over here. Let's talk GTA 6, because GTA 6 is coming out this year. As they have said, people are very skeptical whether it will make that release date, but Rockstar, the teams are still promoting GTA 6 2025 release window. So this could be one of the biggest year in gaming overall. If you look at Xbox and the first party lineup they have, look at Rockstar and with GTA 6, and you look at the Nintendo Switch 2 launch, could be one of the biggest years in video games ever. I really hope PlayStation has a major showcase this year and it just tops it off. And 2025 is going to be absolutely insane. But we have this in a series of posts on LinkedIn. The talent acquisition specialist at Rockstar Games announced a few open roles in London, Leeds, Edinburgh, and Dundee. And in the post, there were references to 2025 shaping up to be the best year yet for the company. And each listing was accompanied by a banner that read "Coming 2025." So they are still preparing here to release this game in 2025. I think the silence from Rockstar ever since we got that first trailer, it's been over a year now, has led to a lot of skepticism whether they can actually make that release date. That, as well as what we've seen happen in the gaming industry in 2024 with cancellations, with delays, with layoffs. But maybe they're just keeping all their cards close to their chest, and they're just literally going to give the announcement with the actual release date closer to the release date that it comes out, and the hype will just be absolutely insane. I mean, they don't really have to do anything. They don't really have to market this game that much. They will, but they don't have to, because it's going to sell insane no matter what Rockstar does. This is just basically a gold mine for them without having to put in not much effort to hype it up. They gets hyped up on it. So the more silent they actually have been, I've seen like people are getting more FOMO, more hype, all of that stuff. It's actually kind of working in its favor, I would say, as of right now. Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out in February. We're going to see so much stuff leading up to the release of this game. It's going to be exhausting to see everybody just trying to hope and pray that it does fail. Yes, there's been issues with this game. Yes, I think Ubisoft has taken the right steps to delay it and go in there and try to fix the issue, specifically from like the Japanese culture perspective and everything. However, you're going to see everybody on the culture wars, the anti-woke people, trying to make sure that this game fails nonstop, even without playing it or checking it out. I think the game looks really good. Everything that we have seen from the gameplay perspective, and we're getting more information here from them showing the parkour details, and they showed off a little clip here of Neo running around and doing some flips and stuff and jumping into the hay barrels. It looks good. It looks very good to me. I'm excited for this game, and I think it will still do well just because it does have that AC branding and everything, and generally those games sell very well. But we have more information, specific details on the parkour. They are changing it. It isn't just going to be simply, as with the other Assassin's Creed, running up and climbing on anything without very much thought and strategy around it. There are some new inputs here for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I think it'll be pretty cool here. So here it is. We have parkour up. They say players have played previous Assassin's Creed games will know that this mechanic lets players hold a button to scale any building or structure they want, and the same parkour system will make its way to Shadows too. The mechanic works while running up walls, jumping across gaps, leaping into the void. And Neo is better at jumping further and reaching higher than Yasuke. The recovery roll. So when jumping from a distance, players can use the Egen recovery roll by pressing the dodge or parkour down button, considerably softening the blow and reducing the noise. You can kind of see some of the stuff here. It's only a 9-second clip, but you can see some of the parkour that is happening here. I don't remember correctly if in the last ones they had like a recovery roll that you had to manually input. I don't think that they did, but it looks like this is going to be one of those that does have it, and that'll be pretty cool. Parkour down, and they say here is where the new Assassin's Creed Shadows parkour system comes into play. As dodge and parkour mechanics have blended, players can press dodge near a ledge to transition into a parkour down traversal, and Neo will have an acrobatic descent while Yasuke will have heavy drops. Parkour down will let you access the safest lowest point below your character and avoid the player needlessly jumping into the void. That's always kind of been an issue with their parkour, is the jumping into the void and dying. And you can see there that yes, they have fixed that with kind of like the flips and the dives and everything with this new parkour down mechanic, which is pretty cool. You're gonna have the sprint mechanic here, which is a new system unique to Neo, the fastest assassin in the franchise. And the mechanic allows players to trigger an extended dive roll over small objects such as fences, crates, and rails. You can see it here, which looks pretty interesting, where you're just going to be able to be very mobile. Oh, that dive looks cool. I like that. So that's pretty awesome. That's going to be a new feature in there. And then grappling mechanics. They say there's going to be some more grappling stuff here where you're going to be able to climb the walls, use your grapple, move around faster. One of the best traversal features that I think we've already seen this in other trailers, but one of the best traversal features that I've seen or have utilized in Assassin's Creed has been Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which I'm actually almost finished again right now, going through it again right now because I got the 60 FPS update. But the grapple shot thing that they have in that game, probably the top traversal method in Assassin's Creed. And it looks like they're sort of bringing this back a little bit with the grapple shot there. But very excited for this game. We're going to see a lot of cultural wars around it, but it's basically, I'm going to play it, see if it's any good, and base it on its merits. And as what I'm seeing right now, the game does look like it is going to be a ton of fun. All right, Nintendo Switch. I mean, it's basically been revealed by everybody but Nintendo. But the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to sell very well, I believe, just because I think it'll be properly priced. It's fully backwards compatible, and there will be enough there for people who have a current Nintendo Switch to want to upgrade. And analysts are saying that it will sell 4.3 million units in the US in 2025. This is Matt Piscatella of Circana, and here's what he says. Seeing as how an announcement appears to be coming soon, but who knows? I have Nintendo's next hardware device selling 4.3 million in the US in 2025, assuming the first half launch, accounting for approximately 1/3 of all video game console hardware units sold in the year, excluding PC portables, and expecting to see hardware constraints for several months after significantly early demand surge, and units sold will, of course, be dependent upon manufacturing capabilities. And he also says here, I still expect PS5 to rank first in overall hardware units sold in the US during the year. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because they're going to be launching Nintendo Switch 2 later on. It's also going to be a new console. You're not going to have everybody jumping over from the current Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Switch 2 right away, but I think just because of the backwards compatibility and hopefully a decent price point, there is more incentive to do that more in the holiday season. The biggest question I have, will there be major unit constraints here for people who do want to get it early? Because that was a huge thing that plagued the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S in the first 2 years of it, specifically PS5 and Series X. But with the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, there shouldn't be any more of those issues with the chip production and everything. So I wonder how many units they will make. If you don't get a pre-order for day one, will you have to be waiting months to get a Nintendo Switch 2? Or do they want to make sure that they are readily available for people who want them? Or do they want to create that, I guess, artificial demand by keeping the stock low? We will see. But I'm definitely going to be trying to pick one of these things up day one when it drops, and I will be talking about it and highlighting it here on the channel. I love my Nintendo Switch, and I love Nintendo games, so excited about that. GameStop, there's more issues here at GameStop. They're silently shutting down more stores in the US. GameStop has had huge transitions over the last number of years, but they do say here since 2020, GameStop has shut down more than 1,000 stores, and they are shutting down more, but very quietly. In December, GameStop shut down 300 stores across North America. It also brought down Game Informer after 30 years of the publication. That was a sad thing to see. And they say the corporation was unabashed by the outrage that surfaced following that move, and the company went as far as to delete the Game Informer's farewell messages from the existence shortly after they were written. So 300 more stores here in North America in December. I'm sure that there will be more. It's a love-hate relationship, I think, with GameStop. The hate part is they have some pretty bad business practices. They overprice a lot of their used stuff, and it's kind of ridiculous, some of the service that you do get there at times. So that's the hate part. But the love part about GameStop is that it's been like a beacon for many, many years before, I would say, the digital era really took off, for midnight releases, going to events where they had new games were coming out, new consoles were coming out, and it was just great atmosphere for gamers who enjoy that type of stuff. So with that pretty much dead now because everyone just buys their stuff online, it's not the same feeling. I do hope that they still stay around in some shape or form, because it would be sad to see just the physical video game stores completely go away. I still visit GameStop every once in a while. I still buy stuff off of their website and go in and actually the store to pick it up and with pre-orders and stuff. So I'm not totally against GameStop, but I think they're moving in a direction where selling actual video games and consoles and everything becoming less and less of their business. You can see all the merchandise they have in there, and obviously focusing on some more retro stuff too. So it will be interesting to see what finally does happen with GameStop, if how much longer it can last going even into the next generation, especially if next gen, the consoles that do release have no disc drives. Like, what is GameStop going to be doing with selling new games? And finally, we have some bad news here for Splash Damage, which is a game cancellation. Transformers. So they were making a Transformers game, and they are no longer making it. So if you're looking forward to this, unfortunately, it is not coming. This is a London-based studio behind Gear Tactics, which is a phenomenal game, Wolfenstein: The Enemy Territory, and Dirty Bomb. They announced here on X that, saying this, today we have some very difficult news to share. The decision has been made to end development of Transformers Reactivate. This means we will be scaling down to refocus our efforts on other projects. Unfortunately, despite every effort, a number of roles across the studio are now potentially at risk of redundancy. So 2025 is not slowing down for stuff like this happening. More game cancellations, more closures, more layoffs, all that stuff is going to continue. But again, my opinion on this entire situation is that the industry is getting back to normal. I think it was a huge overinflation during the pandemic years, and it's kind of getting back to normal. Overall, the industry, if you look at the numbers, is still very, very healthy. It's growing and everything. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. Of like you saw a lot of fear mongers out there pretending like there's going to be a video game crash, which I just don't see that whatsoever. But unfortunate for the people who do lose their jobs, and unfortunate for games that get canceled that people wanted to play. But on the video there, guys, if you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.